Hello, Durud and Shalom. Hi, guys. Make sure you like the stream. We are going to do another Nick Fuentes, but this time we're going to focus on his views on Jews. Oh, views on Jews. That rhymes. All right, fantastic. So he actually reveals a lot here regarding his way of thinking. And he represents a whole movement. So the more we are familiar with his views on Jews, the more we are going to be familiar with this entire movement's views on Jews. And I know it's basically just Jew hatred, but it's important for us to understand what's behind it so that we could respond to it better. So let's just jump right into it. And don't forget to like the stream. Comrade Shifty, Jewish Samantha, Flying Robot Doc, thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, and let's just get started.
Okay, back with Nick Fuentes. Let's just turn to anti-Semitism. In your interview with Stephen Crowder last week, you answered emphatically that you don't hate all Jews. Is that correct? That's your position?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to play you this clip.
Well, I don't hate any Jews. Let me just amend that. I don't hate any Jews.
Okay. Let's play this clip.
What do you guys think about that? Do you buy that he doesn't hate any Jews? Like, I don't know.
The reason I've had it is because my opposition to world Jewry and Israel is rooted in absolute, uncontestable fact. We have the truth on our side. That's why we're winning, because we are telling the truth about the historical antagonism between Jews and Europeans, between Jews and Christians. The theological, historical, racial, cultural, and political antagonisms between organized Jewry and the Christians, organized Jewry and Europeans. And the reason that we are winning that argument is because it's real, it's true.
I want to see what the evidence is for that being real, like organized Jewry being anti-West or anti-Christians. If anything, the West has the highest. If you look at all demographics around the world outside of the West, you will see the highest amount of support for the West among the Jews.
I can prove it. I can show you. I can name the names. I can show you the paper trail, the money. That is why we're winning. That is why all of this is raising the consciousness.
When you say you have this opposition to world Jewry, I mean, it's one thing to criticize, for example, the Israeli government over what it's been doing in Gaza. I've done that myself. When you talk about world Jewry, I presume you're talking about the 15 million Jews in the world, and you are opposed to them. How does that square with your position that you don't hate any Jews?
Oh my God, with the dumb questions. He's going to be, I'm opposed to he's going to say, I'm opposed to them and I don't hate them. That's not what you should be asking. You should be asking, where's your evidence that the world organized Jewry, as you describe it, is anti-West or anti-Christian? Like, where's the evidence for that? Like, did you just make that up? What's your evidence? That should be the question. You want him to explain to you the difference between hating some group of people and being opposed to them. That's a win for him. He's going to be like, oh, well, here's how I could be opposed to them and not hate them. You're going to give him an opportunity to demonstrate how good of a person he is because he doesn't hate. That's what you're doing for him. That's not the right question.
Well, do you take issue with my use of the term world Jewry?
Well, what do you mean by that?
Or do you take issue with it? Do you have a problem with that?
Clarify what you mean by it.
Oh, that's a trap. Nick, don't fall into Piers. You're going to fall into a trap. It's a trap because if you say, yes, I take issue with that, then he's going to show that Jews use that word themselves, and then you're going to look like an idiot. So that's a trap. You should just say no.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. The gaslighting's crazy because I use that expression on my show all the time. I say organized Jewry, world Jewry. And do you know that for like 30 years, the World Jewish Congress has an annual keynote called the State of World Jewry? Barry Weiss has given it. You can look it up. It's on YouTube. She gives the State of World Jewry address.
But Nick, what do you mean by it?
I mean, you have to talk about, there's a concept of Jewish peoplehood. It's the sense that they are part of a common nationality, a common tribe, a common people. And
They are.
so where they reside in Israel, the United States, or Europe, or elsewhere, they see each other above, or maybe on a different level, alongside their nationality, their state, wherever they reside. If they're in Germany, France, the United States, they see themselves as part of a transnational nation, of an international nation. The Jews in America, the Jews in Israel, they identify as Israeli or American, but they also have something in common. They identify as part of a common nation.
Just like the Mormons and the Catholics and the Muslims and every other group, or the Irish or the Scottish, just like any other group.
Which I would say there's a world Jewish population. It's world Jewry. And world Jewry has representatives. There is such a thing as the World Jewish Congress, where they actually elect, it's democratic, all the local Jewish organizations elect representatives to represent proportionally the Jewish population in their area at the World Jewish Congress. And it's sort of like Davos. It's like the World Economic Forum, but it's exclusively for members of the Jewish nation that exists across the world. And so...
yeah, every group of people have that. Every single other group of people have that.
That's a real thing. And I didn't make that up, and that didn't come from 4chan.
That shouldn't be the thing that you're challenging him on. What you should be challenging him on is that why do you think those groups of people are anti-Western, even though they're the most pro-Western, non-Western group of people?
It's like I said in that clip, I read what they write. I read their books. I watch these speeches. I watch a speech from Barry Weiss. I pay very close attention. So that's what I mean by that. There is such a thing as it's a nation that exists across borders on a global scale. They're organized, and they have
actually, at least that you call it a nation. A nation means that they don't have a nation means that they don't have any imperial agenda. Nick Fuentes is the same person who said that the Jews are a bigger threat to America than Muslims. So if you're worried about the fact that they consider themselves a nation, then you should be more worried about the concept of ummah from Muslims, because unlike a concept of a nation, the concept of an ummah among Muslims is imperial. It has an imperial agenda, and it wants to dominate the whole world, unlike the Jewish understanding of we're a nation. So every other group of people are united. Every other group of people have their groups that they meet with each other, organize with each other. But it's the Islamic ummah concept that wants to destroy the entire world and replace the world order as it is. So that should be your concern, not the Jews.
Across borders on a global scale, they're organized, and they have a national self-interest as that nation, as that tribe.
So if you don't hate any Jews, what do you like about them?
I like a lot of things about them. I think they're funny. I think they're smart. I think that they're pretty remarkable people. And as Christians, especially as Catholics, we say they're remarkable. And this has been adjudicated in Catholic doctrine for thousands of years. We say that they're a witness people. And so we actually, there's provisions inside of Catholic doctrine that says we need to give them special protections because they were a witness to Christ's passion. So, this is why you can't clip the show. You have to watch the whole thing. I say this.
This is actually worse. This opinion of, I love Jewish people. These are the things I like about them, and they're the enemy, is worse than just simple, your simple type of racism, which says like, oh, I hate the Jews. Because I hate the Jews can be easily identified as racism and fought back against. But saying that, oh, Jews are remarkable people and I respect them as an enemy, but they are the enemy, that is a more sophisticated type of racism, which is more dangerous, because you're basically telling your people that you should take, this is a very powerful enemy that you should take seriously. Don't just hate them, understand them, study them. And even this also justifies the idea of seeing a group of people as enemies, even if you don't hate them. Like, this actually makes your group immune from seeing nice things that they might like about certain Jewish people, because you're teaching them that even if you like them, that's okay if you like them, but they're still the enemy. This is why this is a much more sophisticated type of racism, and it's a really much more challenging to deal with. So, and also it might pass off as not racism to some people. They're like, they're not racist because they don't hate Jews. Some people might get fooled by that. So this is you have to be careful about this type of language. Shauna saying, thank you, Shauna, for the super chat. It's very generous. Saying he considers them a threat because they are in the way of his Catholic nationalism. Woke, Groyper, and Islamic will work together because they have the common goal of removing secular America. Interesting perspective. Interesting point. Exactly, Shauna. That was very well put.
Repeatedly in interviews, I do think they're remarkable. By definition, they're exceptional people. It's just that there is a sort of natural opposition between them and Christians because of the theology. We believe that Christ is the Messiah. They don't. They have been a minority in Christian lands for thousands of years, and they have been pushed around and expelled, and they've been persecuted and segregated. And that's why there's a lot of paranoia. There's a lot of distrust. There's maybe some sense of chauvinism among Jewish people. So there is, like I said in that clip, there is an historical antagonism between these two peoples, between Christendom and Jewry.
There is no antagonism. They get along quite fine until people like you show up. They get along quite fine. Ancient beliefs doesn't have to really get in the way. The Christians and Jews can get along very fine. There's no natural inherent thing within Jews that makes them incapable of being friends with Christians.
And that has always been the case in Europe. But I don't hate them. And I think
also remember that Jews on average are some of the most secular people in the world.
And Jewry, and that has always been the case in Europe. But I don't hate them. And I think I actually sort of understand them in a weird way. I think that because I've studied a lot of their politics, I think I really kind of know them in a way. And it doesn't come from a place of hatred.
Do you have any Jewish friends?
I do. I have many, yes.
But that's weird because you said this.
Jews and Christians.
By the way, Shauna is also pointing in the chat, which is a really good point. The antagonism has been from the Christians to the Jews, not the other way around. Perfect point. And she says that as a Christian, by the way.
Have never come from a place of hatred.
Do you have any Jewish friends?
I do. I have many, yes.
But that's weird because you said this.
Jews and Christians have never been friends, ever. Not since Jesus Christ fought with the Pharisees. Have we ever been friends? Not since Saul was leading the charge persecuting the Christians. Not since the Roman Empire, not since the Middle Ages.
Weren't all of the main first Christians Jews, including Jesus himself?
Never. We've never been friends. We've never been allies. We've always been set against each other, actually. And even here in the United States, it was communist Jews who were the architects of both communism and the civil rights laws that are dispossessing white Christians of their land and civilization.
The Jews and Christians have never been friends ever, except for you and your Jewish friends.
He's going to say there's a difference between talking about a group of people and individuals, which I don't know, groups don't befriend other groups. Individual people befriend individual people.
Yeah, so easy. As peoples, as nations.
Got it.
Not saying every individual Christian, and of course there have been.
What do you mean got it? What do you mean got it, Piers? You have to be like in peoples. An entire people does not befriend another group of people. Friendship is between individuals. He just made up to make his point. To try to suggest hostility between Jews and Christians, he just created this made-up idea that groups of people befriend. The friendship, if Group A is befriending Group B, that could only happen by friendship between individuals of that group. Other than that, we don't have friendship between Group A and Group B independent from friendships of the individuals that make that group. Like, there is no independent form of friendship between groups away from individual friendship between the members. What is he talking about? And Piers was like, got it. What do you mean got it? Like, he just managed to suggest to you that Jews and Christians have never befriended each other, even though they have, and they do all the time, by introducing this new idea of what friendship means. What the fuck? And Piers just gave that to him.
Jewish friends.
Yeah, so easy. As peoples, as nations.
Got it.
Not saying every individual Christian, and of course there have been Christians and there have been Christian
weak. Piers is weak.
Converts to Judaism, Jewish converts to Christian. You're nodding your head, but you're asking this. I'm saying as peoples, they've never been aligned.
As a Roman, I'm a Catholic like you, and I have many Jewish friends. I'm just trying to compute what you're trying to say, which is Jews and Christians have never been friends ever. And I'm like, well, you have Jewish friends, I have Jewish friends, we're both Catholics, therefore we're Christians. So it doesn't really quite add up.
Well, this is why he doesn't even respond. This is why he doesn't even catch his fallacy, because he doesn't even understand what he's saying.
Like I said, as peoples, there has been an historical antagonism as peoples. And you could even say the same about blacks in the United States. Of course, there were black and white people that were friendly with each other, but in many ways, they were set against each other as groups. And I think that's easy enough to understand.
How? Okay. If they're set against each other as groups, that could only happen when there's many individuals within those groups who are against each other. And if there's many individuals within both of those groups that are each other's friends, then the groups are friends. Like, how could you even define these friendship independent from individuals?
The reason that many people think you're anti-Semitic is that you have regularly downplayed the Holocaust, and in particular the number of Jewish people who were murdered by the Nazis. It's been said that you believe no more than several 100,000 have been killed. And I want to play you this clip.
People talk about, well, what about the gas chambers? Well, to the extent that that's real, I find that hard to believe, but to the extent that's real, there have been atrocities committed and genocides committed in all times and all places. Let's acknowledge why Hitler casts the long shadow, because that confers a political benefit upon Jews. That's why.
No, it's because you motherfuckers deny that. Because most of these other crimes are not being denied because there doesn't exist a continued hatred against the victims of those crimes. That's the difference.
It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right? Doing 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years. How long would it take you to make 6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there.
Look how much he loves his own videos. He's smiling.
You think that's funny?
It's funny. It's amusing what you're doing because, that one was a joke. But do you want to talk seriously about the Holocaust?
Yeah, I do, actually. I mean, I do, because I just find it extraordinary that you would think the Holocaust could ever be something that we could joke about.
Oh my God, Piers, what the fuck? You're making him. The Groypers must love this. Is your point that this is too offensive? Like, Piers Morgan seriously thought that he's going to win this by bringing Nick Fuentes on his show and making him say a whole bunch of offensive things, and then Piers Morgan could act like a hero by saying, like, oh my God, look, I told him what he said was so offensive. Instead of demonstrating how wrong he is, if you just look like a sensitive little flower that is just being butthurt over the things that he's saying, that's a victory for him. Look at the smile. Guys, look at the smile right now on Nick's face. That's an image of a man that knows that this is good for him, that he's winning this. Your point is that this is offensive. That's your comeback. He loves that. The entire movement is loving the fact that your rebuttal is that we're offended by that. Fuck, man. Show him why he's wrong. Oh my God. Fucking idiot. Look at this.
Ordinary that you would think the Holocaust could ever be something that we could joke about.
Why, too soon? Is it too soon to make jokes?
How many people do you think died in the Holocaust? How many Jewish people?
Guys, the idea of these boomers getting offended and that being their point, that, oh my God, this is insensitive, that's not going to win anybody from this movement. In fact, that to them, that is a demonstration that you're weak and sensitive. And they love, too soon, that they love that response. You need to find a better response than, oh my God, this is offensive, you shouldn't say that. Fucking hell.
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe 7 million. What's the number? 6 million, something like that.
So you
8 million?
You concede that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust?
Possibly more. Possibly, we're discovering all the time. So it could be, maybe even be more than that.
So why have you doubted the numbers in the past?
I'll tell you why. I really think that every death is a tragedy, however many Jewish people died in the Holocaust. And I'm not a World War II historian, so I'm actually open to believing the official narrative, and I've read some of the conspiracy.
Oh my God, this is fucking clever. Guys, this man is a force to be reckoned with. He's going to say, like, I have no problem with the actual number that they're saying. I'm just wondering why we can't question it, why we cannot doubt it, why we cannot investigate it. And investigate any of this. Why every single, this is, guys, this is a very sophisticated version of racism. You end up looking reasonable and kind even to Jews while showing to your audience that they're the enemy. This is really sophisticated shit. You guys have to be afraid of this level, this type of racism. This is not like your uncle, like your grandpa at Thanksgiving type of racism, so that it just insults. This is very sophisticated. He's making jokes, which are, he says that they're just jokes, and these people are just, I don't know, pearl clutching, and they're pathetically weak. But we care about individual. We as Christians care about every single individual, but we also understand that the world Jewry is a threat to the Western world. Like, this is, when it comes to this is why the only way that you could fight against this nonsense is with logical reasoning, right? Because when it comes to emotions, they have nailed everything. This is like 10 out of 10. There's no way to fight against this by appealing to people's emotions. He has mastered being offensive and joking, while at the same time looking like he's a kind, sympathetic person, and also spreading conspiratorial nonsense against Jews. This is, I've seen a whole bunch of leaders of radical movements. Nick knows what he's doing, and he's really good at it, and you have to take him very seriously. Gagin American, thank you for the super chat, saying, I think they're going after two different audiences. Well, no, I mean, Nick is now trying to go after the mainstream audience as well, which makes sense for why he would now accept the numbers. Because like, yeah, that numbers could be actually correct, but why can't we question it?
Theories, and to tell you the truth, it's believing the official narrative, and I've read some of the conspiracy theories, and to tell you the truth, it's a rigorous debate. But what's interesting about this is, in many countries, it's not even legal to talk about it. And that's really where my interest in the Holocaust begins and sort of ends, to tell you the truth.
He just turned it into a free speech issue. Like, we're just debating numbers just because people are saying that we're not allowed to. See? That's very clever. That's going to make him look so much more reasonable.
Is that if you wanted to question the number, you would be put in jail in about, 17 or 18 European countries.
This is what you get for banning this nonsense. Okay, this is why Holocaust denial should be legal, even though it's bullshit. Because now these people look like they're just fighting for free speech, and that Jews are actually controlling the world.
In the number, you would be put in jail in about, 17 or 18 European countries. And I think that's really the more interesting conversation, which is that this is almost like a religious dogma in the West. No other genocide, no other atrocity is treated like this. Could you imagine if in the United States they said the number of Palestinians killed in Gaza is 100,000, and if you don't say that, you're going to jail, you're banned on X, you can't have a job? That's the part that's totally insane. And a lot of people, they can't even...
Yeah, congratulations to the European countries that banned this. You just gave these people their victimhood narrative. Good job.
Make up their minds. I think it's actually done a disservice. If your goal, and I'm not saying you as Piers Morgan, but if your goal, if you're an advocate for awareness about this, if your goal is to convince everybody that this is the way the Holocaust happened, I think the last thing you'd want to do is say that everyone that disagrees is in jail and is banned and you're not allowed to say it. So there's really been no open debate about the subject since the scholarship started to be produced about 60 years ago.
But there is no debate to be had about the number of people who were murdered. Even
oh my God. Oh my God. You're gonna be you're gonna sound like Piers Morgan has done an excellent job making Nick Fuentes look like a reasonable one. You're going to be like, there's no debate to be had. So you're gonna look like the dogmatic one, and he's look at Nick's face. Look at Nick's face. Like, look at them. That's a perfect face right now to show like, what is this man talking about? There is no debate, so we should just blindly accept the narrative that they feed us without actually questioning it. Is that what you're saying, Piers? How, guys? Piers Morgan is making Nick Fuentes look so good. Fucking hell.
Even the Nazis in the trials after the war confirmed the numbers. The amount of documentation that was recovered, notwithstanding the attempts by the Nazis to destroy it, the amount of documentation that was saved and preserved and used for trials and for historical record is unprecedented in the history of mass slaughter of human beings. So we have
yeah, so Nick is going to say like, okay, then if you have that much evidence, then why are you afraid of debating it? Only people who don't have evidence are afraid of debating something. So you cannot at the same time say we have so much evidence and also be against debating it and want to ban talking about it. That's the behavior of somebody that doesn't have evidence for something. I mean, if I was Nick, that's what I would say. And that's why you shouldn't ban it.
A very clear idea of how many people were gassed to death in the gas chambers. We have a very clear idea of how many were starved to death, were kept in ghettos, died of disease, of forced labor, of death marches. We know how many Jews were slaughtered. It's at least 6 million. What's interesting to me is that you appear to now concede that, which may be news to a lot of your regular viewers who have constantly heard you quibble with the number of Jews who died in the Holocaust. And for the record, just to confirm what I think you told me, you do now accept that at least 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust.
Look, he's going to disarm them. Like, sure, I accept it. Now what?
Well, no, I said it could even be higher than
well,
that.
it could be higher. That is
I think
true.
It's at least.
But you
I think you're right.
Least.
It is at least. Oh, it's at least 6 million. But it could be 100
well,
times more than that.
Okay, the people are.
Look at this, Piers. Now he's going to look. This guy that just came out and said that the Jews are the enemies of the West. You thought that this is a gotcha moment for you, but now he says like, yeah, it's at least 6 million. Now he can. You just helped whitewash and like, oh, that he actually sounds reasonable. A guy that just announced that the Jews are the enemies of Christians and the West. Congratulations, Piers. And now you're also participating in making it seem like, oh, this guy is actually reasonable. Look at
least.
This.
Oh, it's at least 6 million. But it could be 100
well,
times more than that.
Okay, the people are going to be.
Let me respond to the rest of your question.
Sure.
What you're saying, I understand where you're coming from when you say it has been documented and there are confessions and so on. Let that speak for itself. But you don't see, your show is called Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Yep.
But the United Kingdom is censored and Europe is censored. And if you talk about these things, you will be put in jail in many countries. And I think that's...
Guys, we predicted this on this channel years ago, that this is what you get for censoring stuff that you disagree with.
Where a lot of people start to say, well, If the truth is so clear and if there's such overwhelming evidence, why do you need to throw people in jail for disagreeing? And you yourself said, well, there is no debate. I think everything is debatable. I think everything at least should be debated. And if the evidence is very one-sided, let the evidence speak. Don't throw people in jail. So do you think that Holocaust denial laws should be overturned?
I don't particularly agree with Holocaust denial laws. I don't think people should be imprisoned.
Okay.
Well, because I have a blanket view now, which has evolved slightly actually over the years, that I have a blanket view that speech should not be criminalized, right? People should be allowed to say what they want to say, and they should be then made accountable for what they say. If you have an employer, they can make a view about whether you are the right kind of person they want for their employment, as they would make a decision.
I think Piers Morgan is doing a better job than Tucker Carlson in whitewashing Nick Fuentes. He criticized Tucker Carlson for not pushing back, but honestly, Piers Morgan, you're doing a better job. He looks so much better on your channel than on Tucker Carlson, and you don't know that that's what you think you're pushing back against him. You just showed like, oh, we actually agreed. Like, we shouldn't have laws against this. You should have stayed on that very point that he announced the West to be the enemy, the Jews to be the enemies of the West, and you should have just grilled them on that instead of coming here. And now he used this as an opportunity to show that you guys actually agree.
Decision about anything else you do in life. So I actually believe that speech should never be criminalized. It's my personal view. I understand why in places like Germany, they have strong laws about it because they want to move on from what they believe was the most shameful moment in their history. I understand that. Do I want that in my country? No. Am I appalled by what has been going on with free speech in United Kingdom in the last 2 or 3 years? Absolutely. It is ridiculous that people have been frog marched to prison cells for stuff they put on social media, right? So yeah, I do. I think what is more interesting to me about our exchange is I was not expecting you to go the opposite way. I was not expecting you to be so emphatic that at least 6 million Jews.
Wow, Piers is actually very impressed that he went the other way. Piers, you understand that you're whitewashing him. You're making him look good to your audience better than Tucker Carlson, right?
To go the opposite way. I was not expecting you to be so emphatic that at least 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. And there'll be people watching this who I think will be very surprised by that, because you have built a reputation for being, if not a Holocaust denier, then somebody constantly questioning in a downward way the number of Jews who were murdered. That doesn't appear to be what your position is now.
Yeah, pleasantly surprised. He's actually not that unreasonable. Maybe we should take him seriously, huh, Piers?
No, and here's what I would like to see for my entire career. When I started my show, it started with a good faith inquiry where I was questioning a lot of these narratives. And I said, what is the answer on the other side? But what I found is that the answer was criminalized. So when you would talk about anything regarding Jews, Israel, the Holocaust, you could be in favor of the official narrative on those things. If you went against, you were banned, censored, and in some countries jailed. And so I actually haven't made up my mind on that because that's not really a matter of interest to me. And there's a lot of analysis and scholarship on both sides of the issue. And I've read both sides of the issue. And honestly, unfortunately, it's hard to judge because there has never been, there's never been a debate on it. And there's never been a debate because of the stigma, because of the censorship. And I
Wait, guys, did you guys hear that part? His mic was on. Did you guys hear that part? He asks his research team, look, Nick Fuentes is here. And he just has his information just by himself without like a team giving him tips. And like, this is cheating. Piers Morgan has like an entire team doing like an entire research fact-checking team in his ears. And he's like, he thought that he has his mic off so he could ask them. So they put Nick on the screen fully and they hide Piers Morgan so he could ask for information from his team. But they didn't realize that his mic was on. Listen to this part.
Really a matter of interest to me. And there's a lot of analysis and scholarship on both sides of the issue. And I've read both sides of the issue. And honestly, unfortunately, it's hard to judge because there has never been, there's never.
What Hitler, what is he asking his team? But that's an embarrassing moment for Piers. So Nick is not basically debating Piers Morgan. Nick is debating an entire team, an entire research team back there, and he's still winning. Fucking hell, man. This is why this guy looks like a hero to his people.
Been a debate on it. And there's never been a debate because of the stigma, because of the censorship. And I think that leads a lot of people to say, well, what do they have to hide? Because you can say on your show, well, I'm personally against Holocaust denial laws, yet they still persist and the social consequences still persist. And I think that that is the anomaly. And people have to wonder, okay, why is it that way? And what I said in that clip is the reason the Holocaust casts a long shadow is because it confers a political benefit upon organized Jewry. That is what they always fall back on. They cannot be criticized. They cannot be named. They cannot be talked about, lest there be another Holocaust.
The reason why they idiotically banned in some countries the criticism, questioning the Holocaust and shit like that is not because the Jews are controlling the world. And that's not the reason. The reason is because World War II was very traumatic. And the images that came out of it made people really want to avoid anything like that ever happening again. The crimes and everything came. And some people over-adjusted. That's the reason. It's not because Jews control the world. I mean, yeah. I mean, the entire progressive left is an over-adjustment to that.
Be criticized. They cannot be named. They cannot be talked about, lest there be another Holocaust. And no other tragedy is treated that way. And no other ethnic group has a get-out-of-jail-free card. Just play that. Anti-Semitism and Holocaust. You can do whatever you want and defend all your actions. That's the part that people are getting upset with. That's the problem.
I don't know any right-minded person who believes that Jewish people weaponized the Holocaust for their own personal get out of jail free or whatever you called it.
You don't know anyone that does that?
Yeah, I mean, again, Piers, you sound ridiculous. You should say most of them don't do that. The vast majority of them don't do that. If you say not a single one of them do that, then with one example, you're going to be destroyed. With one example, of course, you're going to be able to find some Jews who do that. Why are you so bad at arguing? Nick is just going like, yeah, exactly. Nick's response is on point. Like, you're not a single person. Like, of course, there's a lot of Jews. Of course, you're going to find somebody who does that. You should have said that the vast majority of them don't do that. Not that all of them don't do that. This is really weak. Look at this.
Their own personal get out of jail.
Look at this.
Believes that Jewish people weaponized the Holocaust for their own personal get out of jail free or whatever you called it.
You don't know anyone that does that? That believes that?
I'm sure there are some.
Somebody says you go debate him. Yeah, go. Well, okay, we'll get. I don't think Nick Fuentes will. Is hard to reach, and he's too big for our channel to get a hold of him. But I would be interested in debating him if you could make it happen. Here's my email. Just go give him my email and tell him to email me. I would be very interested in talking to him. Armin.navabi@gmail.com.
People that do that, but it's such a ridiculous generalization. The truth is that most Jewish people have lost relatives in the Holocaust. In fact, I want to play you two clips. One is where you talk about Adolf Hitler.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. So, time to grow up. We're not children anymore. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right, boys? Am I right? Let's go. He was also really fucking cool.
Do you regret saying that?
No.
Saying a fact? No, that's absolutely true.
You think Hitler was very fucking cool?
Yes, I do.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
Well,
to be honest,
this is the problem. You see, it's a bit like when you just say, "I'm a racist." You're a
Oh my God! Like, Piers, can you tell him what does he mean by cool and why he thinks that, instead of just acting all offended? You're not even arguing. If you want to show he's wrong, you have to tell him what does that mean. Oh my God, this is really bad.
Racist who thinks Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish person watching this, what are they thinking? I'll tell you what they're thinking, because I've got a friend of mine called Danny Finkelstein.
This is not a debate.
When he heard I was interviewing you, he's a Times journalist in the UK, very eminent journalist here and author.
You know what I think? A Groyper might, who's a big fan of Nick, the way he would justify the way that they don't see a contradiction for Nick saying that, oh, I don't hate Jewish people, and at the same time Hitler, like they say he was cool. The reason why I think in their mind that's not a contradiction is because I could look at, I don't know, Voldemort as a evil character and just look at the imagery of it, or I don't know, an evil character like Thanos is pretty badass and cool. It's not a moral judgment. It's just like the way he looks, the way he acts, the way he talks. For an evil villain, it's a cool villain, for example. I don't know, maybe that's the way that they don't see it's a contradiction. I don't know, but the thing is, I wouldn't know what because Piers is not even asking the question, like, okay, can you explain? This is what he should have done. Can you explain how is Hitler cool? That's what he should have, because then you're going to be able to attack him on that answer. Just telling somebody you shouldn't say Hitler is cool, but like, okay, but why not? Like, you just like, that's not even an argument. You're just getting offended. So you should ask for more information so that he gives you something that you could attack.
Who wrote a book about his own family's experiences at the hands of Hitler and Stalin, because he also told Tucker Carlson.
Because again, he says cool, and that's a way for him to escape, because to them, cool might not mean good. Cool doesn't mean right. Cool just means cool. So you have to clarify with him how he thinks he was cool.
And family's experiences at the hands of Hitler and Stalin, because he also told Tucker Carlson that you admire Stalin. But let's just take what Danny said here.
Hi Piers, it's Danny Finkelstein here. As you're interviewing Nick Fuentes, you might try suggesting to him that he reads my book, Hitler, Stalin, Mum and Dad. It's called Two Roads Home in the United States. Since he says he's on Team Hitler, you might like to ask him about the fact that Hitler arrested my mum, tried to starve my mum to death, did starve my grandmother to death, sent my great aunt to the gas chamber, my great uncle, my cousin. My grandmother on my father's side ended up being one out of 7 children, the only one that survived the war. So you might ask him whether he wouldn't rather be on Team Mum rather than Team Hitler. And as for celebrating Stalin's birthday, well, Stalin took my father, sent him to a state collective farm, sent my grandmother and to a state collective farm, sent my grandfather to the Gulag. You might try asking him why he doesn't celebrate Dad's birthday rather than Stalin's. It may all be a big joke to him, but he complains that he was 18 when someone tried to cancel him. Well, Stalin and Hitler arrested my mum and my dad when they were 10 years old. So perhaps he might like to reconsider his joke.
Your entire argument is that this is offensive. You know, your entire argument that this is offensive. This is not helping. You're not converting. You're not going to win anybody from that side with this argument. You have to actually humiliate these people. You have to destroy their arguments. This is not going to win anything on your side. Or like, oh my God, how insensitive you guys are being. They love being offensive. They love being insensitive. What is the point of this argument?
See, that's the reality of your jokes, although I haven't ascertained.
You know what he's going to do, Nick? He's going to be more offensive right now. Like, oh, you thought that's bad? Let me be more offensive.
Yet, whether you are joking when you say that Hitler was very fucking cool. Are you joking, or do you actually think he was very fucking cool? The most genocidal monster of the last 150 years.
Yeah, the thing is, my generation, we're just done with the pearl clutching. You know,
yeah, you might be, but then your generation hasn't gone through what Danny Finkelstein's family went through. So yeah, maybe the pearl clutching has a way to go for families whose family members were murdered.
Yeah, we got.
Yeah, so yeah, what do you think you're going to do? You think you're going to win them over? This is just going to make them double down. The more sensitive you are about these things, the more they're going to double down. The only way to defeat this movement is to humiliate them by destroying their arguments, by showing how retarded they are, not by being sensitive. They love you showing how sensitive you are. They tell you, oh, show us where it hurts so that we could hurt you more.
For families whose whose family members
Oh my
were
gosh.
murdered.
Yeah, we got all that. We, me mom, like we're, I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me? This old British guy is saying me mom got killed by Hitler.
Because
and
he doesn't
dad
find
got
it
killed
funny
by...
when you say Hitler's very fucking
I don't
cool.
care.
He finds
I don't care.
I know you don't care. That's fine. You don't have to care. But he does care.
Does that guy care about America? Does that guy care about me and my country and my family? No.
He cares what you, a
that's the
prominent
problem.
conservative in America, has to say about Adolf Hitler. And what do
Yeah, but then every single groyper watching this is going to be like, okay, but why should I care about what he cares? You keep telling us what he cares about, but why should we give a fuck? That's what they're going to think.
you mean by Hitler is very fucking cool? Because I think he's very fucking a monster.
Okay.
Very fucking a monster? Very fucking a monster? Is that what does that even mean? Is that even proper English?
Fucking cool. Because I think he's very fucking a monster.
What the fuck does that mean?
And that's a clip. I think he's very fucking a monster. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah,
I mean,
do.
can we all grow up?
I do.
Can we all grow
He
up?
murdered
That
12
is just
million people.
childish.
He murdered 12 million
Okay.
people. What is very fucking cool about that? Tell me.
The edits, it's just cool. The uniforms, the parades,
There you go.
it's cool as a guy. You look at World War II and it's fascinating and it's interesting and it's compelling and it's cool. And, we're just tired of saying these kinds of things. We want to talk like real people and give our honest opinions. And then we literally get an old Jewish guy from England who's going to say, oh, that's not very funny, mate. Me mom. And it's like, shut up. Like, no one is in favor of genocide. So let's just get that out of the way. We're not in favor of a Holocaust or genocide.
Do you think if half
It's
your
80
family
years
had been,
ago.
you think if half your family had been wiped out by very fucking cool Hitler, you'd still think he was very fucking cool?
Okay, again, just continuing with the argument that this is offensive. You're not winning anybody with this. Yabs, thank you for the super chat. What is Yab saying? We are the enemy of America. He loves Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, all America's mortal enemies. Yet we are not loyal. You should question his motives, not ours. Yeah, I mean, okay. So here's the thing, Yabs. Nick Fuentes is absolutely wrong about the idea that Jews are anti-West. There is no, among non-Westerners, you wouldn't find a more pro-Western group of people compared to the Jews. So Nick, that's what Piers has to push back on. That's what Piers is supposed to say. But when it comes to him loving Hitler and Stalin, I think the way, and he's not going to explain that because he likes the fact that these people are making a fool of themselves. But I think the idea is that the way that they see it is not like, no, we're Christian, we're anti-genocide, we're anti what Hitler did, we're anti what Stalin did. We just are fascinated by these people because they're fascinating. Just like I don't know, maybe like a scholar would be with Hitler. It just the aesthetics of it just looks pretty impressive and interesting. It's a part of history and we love it in a way that somebody might recognize, like Thanos is evil, but he's also pretty fucking cool, or like Voldemort is evil, but he's a very cool character. It's a cool villain, right? I think that's why he says cool instead of good, because this is bait. This is a way for some people to be able to defend him, and at the same time, some people to be offended by it, right? And he likes to basically live in the middle, live right on that line, right on the line that if you really want to corner him, he could defend himself, but also it's a positive word towards Hitler. So at the same time, it offends the right amount of people, like Piers Morgan, which then goes, because it offends people, it will go viral, and Nick will even get more famous. So this is and he knows how to play this game more than anyone else. He's very clever about it, and it's working. And Piers is helping him out.
Cool. Or would you think that actually he was a despicable monster who murdered 12 million people, who targeted people because they were disabled or Jewish or Romani Gypsy or whatever it may be, and that he systematically destroyed people incinerated them in gas chambers. Do you think that you would find it very fucking cool if your family had been through that? Or do you think you would find it very fucking disgusting? And perhaps moderate the number of times you laugh about it, or want to joke about it, or want to abuse someone like Danny Finkelstein, who's written incredibly powerful books about what happened to his extended family at the hands of the Nazis and your other hero, Stalin. See, my point to you, Nick Fuentes, is that in parts of this interview, you try to come across as moderate, but every now and again, the mask slips. And it's slipped again here with what you say about Hitler. There's nothing very fucking cool about Hitler. We know that from history now. We know what he did. You've already conceded that he murdered at least 6 million Jews. So when you say he's very fucking cool, Jewish people watch this and go, this guy's disgusting. Why would he say this about someone who perpetrated such an evil? And what's the real answer?
Yeah, but the people who find him disgusting already hate him. And nobody, not a single, almost none of the people who support him are going to be like, oh, he said Hitler is cool. Oh my God, I didn't know that. I'm going to stop supporting him. What are you even doing? What is the point of pointing this out? It's all Piers just has one point, that he's being offensive. That's his entire point.
Say this about someone who perpetrated such an evil. And what's the real answer? Why do you? Is it just for clicks? Is it for money? Is it just for fun? For shits and giggles? What is it? What motivates you to say something like Hitler was very fucking cool?
What motivates him is your response. What motivates him is people like you getting butthurt over it and coming in, showing to the entire Groiper army how easy it is to own you and make you get so butthurt, and just demonstrate to the whole world how offended you are by something he said. Like, he's playing you. That's the motivation, and it's working, and you're making it work.
It's for this. It's for all of this. And the lack of self-awareness is amazing. You're a boomer. You're a 60-year-old boomer. And we've spent maybe 3 minutes on you saying, he's a really fucking monster. He incinerated people. And I'm sitting here saying it's not that serious. It's not that deep. And
not that
what
serious.
I'm getting at.
Not that serious.
Do you want to say more about he's a monster?
You're not a kid yourself anymore. You're not a teenager.
I know.
Right? You're nearly 30, to be clear.
Yeah,
okay? You're a fully formed adult who has a brain, right? And at some stage, that brain is taking you off these rabbit warrens.
Is this an interview or is this a lecture? Can I respond to what you're saying?
I want you to explain why you think it's fine to say how fucking cool Hitler is and to dismiss the very powerful 90 seconds.
I mean, you don't let him explain. He was explaining. But I mean, I want to hear what he has to say, because it's actually kind of easy to demonstrate how Nick is wrong. But you're not even letting us listen to him, because you just want to lecture him. You keep interrupting him and lecturing him.
From a British journalist who lost a lot of family members to the Nazis in such a callous, dismissive manner.
I don't think it's powerful. I think we've been hearing that our entire lives. Okay, the Schindler's List. Let's just be honest. The propaganda is over the top. We have been in America.
What about the Schindler's List? Tell me about the Schindler's List. Well, tell me about the.
You're not letting him respond. I mean, I don't even know what Nick's response is. You're like, Piers just wants to talk. Are you interviewing somebody? Are you here to understand what Nick thinks? Or are we here to just understand how offensive Piers is finding all of this? Like, is this the point of this interview?
Lives, okay? The Schindler's List. Let's just be honest. The propaganda is over the top. We have been in America.
What about the Schindler's List? Tell me about the Schindler's List. Well, tell me about the Schindler's List.
I'll tell you about it. We have been browbeaten as a people, as Americans, as Westerners, for our entire lives. And do you know what this has done? It has taken away any sense of pride, any sense of love for our own civilization. We have been made the villain in our own story. We have been made because, well, let's just be clear. It doesn't begin and end with Hitler is a monster. This has been the political narrative, which is why we have thrown open the borders. This is a political narrative, which is why we can't be a conservative society as a whole anymore, why we can't be proud of.
See, he's right. Unfortunately, he's right about that. Okay. So Hitler was a monster he was an evil motherfucker that committed more crimes than most people on earth, right? And the thing is that now, but because how big of a crime what Hitler did was, now he's constantly being used to justify a whole bunch of insane policies from the progressive left. Like the whole woke correction, the whole work left is the genesis story is their entire base of all their ideology is to avoid to call everything that they disagree with and return back to Nazism, right? So the horrors of World War II has now constantly been used as an excuse to just be for open borders and be tolerant to intolerance and just allow the most insane, barbaric, inferior cultures to come and just take over the West. So yeah, he's right about that. And the problem is that Piers doesn't know where Nick is right and where Nick is wrong. And he's going to look reasonable because he also among his anti-Jewish conspiracy theories, he also says a whole bunch of things that are correct, and a lot of people are going to relate to that, right? So the West, a huge part of the West, learned the wrong lessons from the horrors of World War II. They over-adjusted. They over-adjusted to the point that in an attempt to fight against some really shitty ideas like Nazism, we're basically welcoming a whole bunch of other even shittier ideas than Nazism. And now Nick is setting, but Nick's strategy is to just dismiss the horrors of World War II and maybe to even sometimes glorify it. And that's not even a proper response as well. But this is how the woke left is responsible for Nick and his movements and anybody else like him. Oh, Shauna, thank you for the super chat thing. I hope Coleman Hughes interviews and debates him. Yeah, that would be interesting to see. I would love to see
Europeans, why we can't be proud of being Christian, because they've told us if you're too white and too proud and too Christian, it's going to lead to a Holocaust. And so my generation, our entire lives,
Honestly,
no,
that is not a crock of shit. That's actually that's the part that he's right about. That's the part, like, oh my God, Piers, you're basically disagreeing with him exactly where he's making a correct point. Unfortunately, and that's the part that you're disagreeing with. You should have said this when he was saying that Jews are anti-West and anti-Christian. That's where you should have stopped him. Here he actually has a good point.
Christian, because they've told us if you're too white and too proud and too Christian, it's going to lead to a Holocaust. And so my generation, our entire lives,
they have that he's on point here. Unfortunately, he's on point here. That's what they have been told. Yes, that's what white men in the West have been told.
Honestly, Nick
it's true, and that's why people like me. That's why I'm popular, because this is bullshit.
Honestly,
yeah, it's a crock. We don't want to hear any more about me mom and me dad. That's a crock of shit.
No, listen. What you just said is a crock of shit, and you know
true.
It.
It's called the open society.
In your gut, you know it is.
Is that your comeback, Piers? You're wrong and you know it? Where's your argument, Piers? Where's your argument? Your comeback is like you're wrong and in your heart you know this? Amazing comeback. I'm sure everybody who agrees with Nick is going to be convinced by that.
You weaponize this stuff.
You
weaponize this stuff for money, but you know when you say something like what you just said.
I'm banned from banking.
Yeah, ad hominem. Basically, you have no arguments.
Weaponize this stuff for money, but you know when you say something like what you just said.
I'm banned from banking. I'm banned from banking and credit cards. You know who you're talking to? I do it for money.
And by the way,
how much money you make? Your company's worth $100 million. Your company's worth $100 million. I was banned from Bank of America.
And you shouldn't
I'm banned from processing credit cards.
And you shouldn't have been.
But I am. So don't tell me I'm doing it for money.
Well, ask me my opinion about that. I'll tell you shouldn't have been. Right?
Yeah, but his point is that if I'm doing this for money, Like his point is like, you are worth so much money and you're lecturing me, Piers Morgan, because he's the one. Nick is actually could make point to his followers that I'm the one that lost everything. I lost my career. I risked my career. I risked my financial future. I even risked my life. The fact that I'm rich now because of what I do doesn't mean that I did all of this for money, given that at some point I risked everything in my life to be able to say this. In fact, Piers Morgan is in a much safer place, and everything he did was financially beneficial to him. But don't judge me by how much money I have right now. Judge me by how much I risked losing everything before I had all this money. So Piers is insane to even go there. Instead of showing him where and why he's wrong, he's basically personally attacking him on something that Nick could destroy him on. Like, oh, you did this for money? You understand that he was going bankrupt because of all of this, and he didn't back down even then, right? He's going to defeat you 10 times out of 10 if you make that the argument. Holy shit, man.
Don't tell me I'm doing it for money.
Well, ask me my opinion about that. I'll tell you shouldn't have been, right? I don't agree with that. What happened to you?
Then don't say I'm doing it for money, because you know that full well, and you say it's a
How
grift.
much money? How much
if I
money
wanted
are
to be
you?
a grifter, I'd be like you,
How
and
much
I would
money
go
are,
and say,
how much money are you making?
Yeah, okay. So Nick needs to point out I make a lot of money right now, but I was still doing this when I was losing everything. That's what he should say.
I'm making a lot of money now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm the #1 live streamer in America, because people agree with me more than they agree with you. We're tired of hearing about slavery and the Holocaust.
Okay, so Nick actually didn't make that point. He should have said, I make a lot of money now, but I was still doing this even when I wasn't making a lot of money, even though I was risking everything. Okay, so good thing that he didn't say that, because that would have been a huge win for Nick.
Holocaust and Jim Crow. We're done hearing about that. You guys
I'm not
overplayed your
done
hand.
hearing about that.
Okay, well, your generation's on the way out, and Generation Z is coming up, and we're finished with that. We're ready to take our country back.
I've got 3
we're
sons.
not listening
I've
to
got
crying
3
minorities
sons.
anymore.
I've got 3 sons, and they don't share your views about slavery and about the Holocaust. They can have decency and compassion.
Oh, what the fuck? I have 3 sons and they don't share your views? Who the fuck cares? Those are 3 people. He's the most popular streamer in America. Look at his numbers. You're showing 3 people compared to his giant army of grapers. You're like, oh, well, I have 3 sons. Who the fuck cares? That's 3 people. Unbelievable. That's his point.
And humanity about some of the worst things that have happened in the last 150 years or more. They can do that, and they can also have concerned views about issues like immigration and other issues. The 2 things are not mutually incompatible. You can have different views about different things. It's your lack of humanity and compassion for people about things like the Holocaust, about slavery. It's that people find so contemptible. And I don't understand why you need to do that. Again, I just ask you, is your motivation financial? Is your motivation for fun? What is the motivation for saying these outlandish things, which you don't need to say, and which I suspect, I don't know, I suspect a lot of it is performative. So what is the motivation?
Basically, 0 arguments from Piers. Absolutely no arguments from Piers.
I'm an iconoclast. The Holocaust is not my religion, and it is treated like a religion. It is treated like a religion with dogma, with blasphemy laws, and that secular religion says, and you say that's a crock of shit. It's intentional. It's called The Open Society by Karl Popper. It's by these architects of the liberal order after World War II. They got together and
that is not liberal. The liberal order, classical liberal order, is for nation states, border integrity, self-determination by the people within a land for their own nation, a nation with a state that represents their people, not some foreigners that don't belong there. So if you think mass migration is liberal, you don't understand classical liberal values, sir. Nationalism is an invention of classical liberal values.
popper. It's by these architects of the liberal order after World War II. They got together and they said, how can we make sure that Hitler never happens? How can we make sure that totalitarianism never happens again? And they came up with the consensus, which is that we need to take down nations, religions, fathers, the authoritarian personality. We need to be empathetic and altruistic. We need to be diverse and pluralistic. And that experiment isn't working. And I'll tell you the truth. Right now, and you can laugh at this, you can scoff at this, our people are being genocided in our country. 50% of the live births in the United Kingdom and in the United States are non-white. In 100 years.
That is replacement, but that's not how you define genocide. It's not genocide. It's not genocide if people are doing it voluntarily. I mean, it's bad. But it's not genocide.
Of the live births in the United Kingdom and in the United States are non-white. In 100 years, my ancestors, your kids who are so...
Wait, how is this genocide? Let me get this again.
50% of the live births in the United Kingdom and in the United States are non-white.
That just happens when a country becomes rich enough. That just happens when countries become wealthy. They have more kids. They have less kids. So that is not genocide. That's just a natural order of things. That just happens in every country, almost every country. Israel, for example, is an exception. When they become wealthier and progress more, they have less kids. And there's nothing you could do to stop that. How is that a genocide?
In 100 years, my ancestors, your kids who are so empathetic and compassionate, they're going to be a minority. They're going to be a minority in maybe a Muslim country, an Indian country, an Hispanic country. And these Jewish people that are 100 years old talking about my grandparents and the Holocaust, they don't care about that. Actually, they like to see it. At the SPLC, they're literally counting down the days until whites are a minority in America. So forgive me if I don't believe them when they talk about compassion. There's a genocide going on right now. It's not against the Jews.
How many Christians are there?
In Gaza, it's against
How many
whites.
Christians are there in the world?
There's no genocide against whites. There's racism against whites. I mean, there might be some genocide against whites in, I don't know, in South Africa, maybe, but there's racism. You're exaggerating. There's a lot of racism against white people. There's no genocide against white people.
1 billion.
White people deciding not to have kids is not genocide.
It's against
how many
whites.
Christians are there in the world? Like me.
1 billion.
Yeah,
2 billion.
How many Jews are there?
15 million.
Okay. So with a straight face, you're going to tell me the world is being overrun.
Yeah. So South Africa, I agree. There is genocide against white people in South Africa, but not in the West.
So with a straight face, you're going to tell me the world is being overrun by the Jewry, by 15 million people, when there are over 1 billion Christians. There is a genocide of Christians like poor old Nick Fuentes going on at the hands of these 15 million Jews. Really?
See, this attitude is why you're losing. When you say,
who am I losing to?
White people,
who am I losing to?
White people.
Who am I losing to?
You're seeing it. Mass migration. You're losing to me. We are losing as a civilization of mass migration. And here's the difference. In Israel, they have my politics.
Wow, that was a very powerful answer. Like, who am I losing? Who am I losing to? Nick just quickly, that was very quick. He's very smart. Really quickly just said, well, if we're talking about you, well, you specifically are losing to me. And then he went on to make his point. Did you catch that? Man, this kid is smart and fast. Look at this.
Of Christians like poor old Nick Fuentes going on at the hands of these 15 million Jews. Really?
See, this attitude is why you're losing. When you say,
who am I losing to?
White people,
who am I losing to?
White people.
Who am I losing to?
You're seeing it. Mass migration. You're losing to me. We are losing as a civilization of mass migration. And here's the difference. In Israel, they have my politics. In Israel, they want to maintain a Jewish majority. If they had it their way, it would only be Jewish people. They're fighting like hell so that Jewish people can have as much territory, a Jewish state. They can be proudly Jewish in their own land. Whereas in America, we are being besieged by 10 million illegal immigrants in 4 years.
Yeah, that's true, but not because of the Jews. Okay, he's right about what the problem is. but he's wrong about the source of this problem. This has nothing to do with the Jews. The Jews are not doing this to you. You are doing this to you. America is doing this to America. It's not Jews from outside of America. I mean, even if there are some Jews who are doing this to America, they're American Jews, and they are doing it at the same proportion that non-Jewish Americans are doing. And there are many American Jews who are trying to fight, who are trying to defend America against all of this bullshit. So yeah, he understands what the problem is, but he accuses the wrong people. I mean, where's your evidence that the Jews are doing this to America? Where's your this is what Piers should be asking him. Like, Piers is like, this is not happening, but it is happening. What Nick Fuentes is saying is happening to America. What Piers should be asking him is like, where's your evidence that the Jews are doing this to America? That's what he should be asking him. Somebody saying, Armin, you are strawmanning Nick. I didn't even disagree with what he said is the problem with America. He specifically said that the Jews are doing this to America. Where did I strawman him? I've been listening to him for hours. I know exactly that he thinks that the Jews are behind this. Where's the evidence for that? Where's the evidence for that? That's what Piers should be asking. We got a super chat. Shauna is saying, Fuentes only cares about white Anglosphere Christians. Yeah, and he thinks that every other group of people are doing that, so why not us? And he thinks that's just the nature of things, and that's what everyone else does.
Whereas in America, we are being besieged by 10 million illegal immigrants in 4 years. And then whites and Christians are going to be the minority. And that's true in Canada, Australia, all the countries in Europe. So you could say there's 2 billion people, but what's the proportionality?
And again, when I say I agree with him, what the problem is, I don't care about white. I care about values. So let me adjust. I don't agree with him when it comes to what the problem is completely. So what's becoming a minority, what could become a minority due to mass migration, because who the fuck cares about skin color except these racist fuckers, right? What's becoming a minority, what might become a minority in Western countries due to the mass migration, is the right values, is the correct Western classical liberal values. That's what's going to be the tragedy. Not the who. I mean, if the other skin colors have the right values, that's all you should care about. If they have the right way of life, if they have the right values, it doesn't really matter what their skin. Obviously, I mean, I'm telling you guys, you already know this stuff, right? But I just wanted to clarify when I said he's identifying the problem correctly, I agree with the mass migration problem, but not with the issue that the white skin color is going to be a minority. That is not a loss. What's a loss is the values that made Western countries great.
What is the percentage of people being born that are white? Where's the arrow pointing? Where are we going to be in 50 years? In 50 years, there might be an Israel. In 50 years, there isn't going to be a white Christendom.
You don't believe people should get married, right?
Wow, Piers, you're not even listening. So you didn't even have any comeback to anything he said. So you have to change the subject.
I think people should get married. I'm a Christian.
But you're basically anti-marriage, really. You've talked about this. You're talking about.
Are we done talking about white genocide?
Well, no, I'm coming to the same part, because you seem very resistant to the idea of marriage. You've never got married. You've talked very scathingly about henpecked husbands. Just take a look.
That's true.
Guys get to a certain age and they're like, you know what? Women suck. Like, they're talking too much. They're not hot anymore. Like, you're fat, you're chubby, you're not as hot as you think you are. You fucking talk too much. You're a bitch.
So we'll obviously get to the brazen misogyny part of that a little later.
He looks at his own video and he says, preach. Did he catch that? Watch him.
So we'll obviously get to the brazen misogyny part of that a little later. But I'm just curious. On the one hand, there's this terrible genocide going on of white people. On the other hand, you want people effectively to stop going near women because they all turn out to be so ghastly. So they shouldn't presumably procreate. So how does that work? I mean, aren't you, with your rhetoric, actively encouraging men not to associate with these ghastly women, therefore not have any more children. Therefore, you are contributing, Nick Fuentes, to the diminishing white population. I'm confused.
I tell my followers to get married all the time. I tell them that it's best for everybody to get married. And I think that's the only way that you can have sex. I think that's the only licit way as a Catholic, as you know, to have sex is within marriage.
Why don't you get married?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Really? Now he's going to look like a hero because his life is dangerous, obviously.
I'll get married later. It's been difficult for me because people are shooting at me at my house. I don't know that I don't want.
Look at this. Piers thought that he has a got you, but now he looks like a hero. Piers like, oh, if you're for marriage, then why don't you get married? Oh, I got you. And Nick is like, because people are literally shooting at me and I can't form a family in this situation right now. So good job, Piers. You think this was a got you? You thought this was a got you? Look at that.
It's been difficult for me because people are shooting at me at my house. I don't know that I don't want to have kids and a wife. You know, my wife would be screaming about that. Me, you know, I have to be able to take risks and be able to say these things. It's difficult to bring a family into a life that's like that. But for my followers, I tell them to get married. But what's happening with women?
You literally just told your followers, well, hang on, in that clip, you literally told followers, women, they get old, they get fat, they get ugly, they get very annoying. So where's the incentive to get married to women? There isn't one. You're at.
He could just say, well, go find the ones that are not fat go find the few that are not fat and ugly. Is that what he's going to say?
So you're actively telling them
you're
the opposite.
You're extrapolating a lot.
Just
we can
quoting
complain.
Just quoting you back yourself again.
No, but you're extrapolating and saying, well, you say women are annoying, so therefore, what's the incentive? We have to do it in spite of the fact that they are annoying. We have to do it in spite of the fact that they talk too much. We can get them to lose weight. We can put them on peptides. We can get them to the promised land, but it's going to be
Do you think this view of women may
meantime.
be why none of them want to go near you?
Oh my God, are you fucking serious? Anybody who's famous is going to have women lining up. There's going to be there's going to be an army of women willing to be with him. What are you talking? Piers, you know this. You know this, that as soon as somebody gets even a little bit famous, there's going to be so many women interested in that person. What are you fucking talking? This is going to be an easy win for him. Why are you Piers, are you trying to make this guy look cool? Like, are you just trying? Like, this was the best interview design to just give Nick Fuentes win after win after win. What the fuck?
Wait, we can put them on peptides. Okay. We can get them to the promised land, but it's going to be.
Do you think this view of women may be why none of them want to go near you?
Oh my God.
Oh, you should see my DMs. It is quite the opposite. They're called the Groy-bets, and I'm actually batting them away. Granted, not all of them are attractive. Some of them are attractive.
Are you actually? Look, just to clear up one of the many.
Of course. It doesn't matter how big of an asshole you are. He's one of the most famous people on earth. Of course, his DMs are going to be filled with women.
Theories about you. I've no idea what the answer is, and you haven't got to answer. But are you actually attracted to women?
I am attracted to women.
You're not gay?
No. But I will say that women are very difficult to be around.
Okay.
So there's that.
And do you think they should have the right to vote?
I do not. No, absolutely not.
They should stay at home?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So basically, you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you?
Oh my God. You know how easy it is to fucking destroy these points? On why you're just, but Piers' response, as always, well, that's offensive. Oh, you're just like, well, I am just offended, and this is just morally unacceptable. Like, make a fucking point. Where's your argument against it? This is the easiest thing to argue against. Like, you're just going to name call him? Do you not have any arguments against what he's saying? Oh my fucking God.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you? For a young.
Yeah, just name calling. Yeah, exactly, Carl. Just name calling him. I mean, has that worked out so far for you, Piers? You just keep trying that?
Guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm the
Yeah.
boomer. I know I'm the boomer here, but actually, you're a 27-year-old dinosaur, aren't you? Aren't you, Nick?
Well, by dinosaur, if I was Nick, I would say if dinosaur is the term that we're using for conservative and in favor of traditional values, then yeah, consider me a dinosaur. That's what I would say if I was Nick.
Fuentes. All women.
I am.
All women are annoying. All women grow
fossil.
old. They all get fat. Says the guy. Have you ever had sex?
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Says the guy who's never got laid.
You're talking to a conservative Christian. That's a badge of honor for him. You think you're getting him by saying like, "Oh my God, you didn't get laid"? Yeah, he's good. He's a Christian. He believes in marriage, like sex after marriage. You think that's a gotcha moment for you? That's a gotcha moment for him. That's a gotcha moment for him that these degenerates think that you are wrong if you haven't gotten laid before marriage. Like, look at this idiot. He doesn't have any points against me. So instead of actually making arguments against anything I'm saying, he just comes out like, well, you haven't got laid and I have. I must be right because I have fucked women and you haven't. Wow. Okay.
That's the
Wow.
thing, though. You boomers, it's
You think
always
you're an
get
expert
laid,
in women,
free love.
given you've never got laid?
You really, that's your point, Piers. Like, oh, you haven't gotten laid. Wow. Oh my, look at Piers. He thinks he's winning. Like, I have had more sex than you. I have had. Hey, Nick. Oh, you like look how proud he is. He like, finally, I have a winning card here. I have had sex and he hasn't. Like, let the audience know that I. Oh my God.
Yeah, we are going back to the Stone Age. You're absolutely right. This. You're talking about empathy and your kids are empathetic and they would never laugh at a joke about the Holocaust and you're a misogynist. You're a simp yourself. You're totally henpecked. That's the problem. So we are going back to the way
Let me play another clip of yours about women.
A lot of women.
Look at him. He's just like, look how offensive you're. I mean, it would be great to play these videos and then argue why they're wrong. But he's just playing them to like, look, my audience, look how offensive this man is. Meanwhile, most of your audience is watching this and they're like, oh my God, base. Who is this guy? I fucking love him. Go look at the comment section. Most of your audience agree with Nick and they're against you. So were you trying to offend them with this clip? But showing these clips, it didn't work. They fucking loved it.
Let me play another clip of yours about women.
A lot of women want to be raped, and when I say raped, I mean like that sounds bad when I say it like that, but there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them, but also they have to pretend, but part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
You think women want to be raped, do you?
Okay, so you're not actually okay. Fuck it.
That's what the studies show, Piers. That is.
So this is what Piers should say right now. The study shows that they have many women, not all of them, not even a majority of them, okay? They have rape fantasies. That means that what that translates to is that they want to do role playing in a controlled environment. They don't want to be cornered and beat the shit out of in an alley in the middle of the night in the corner. What they actually want is for their boyfriend or their husband to just pretend that they're a stranger for a couple of minutes as they just play a scenario. Almost none of these people who want to do that want to actually be beaten the shit out of by a stranger that might actually fucking kill them in the middle of the night in a back alley somewhere. So, and this is what you should tell Nick. What you should tell Nick is that you are misrepresenting what the research says. And in fact, by misrepresenting it, you're telling all of your loyal followers that if you force your way on a woman, and if they pretend that they don't like it, they actually do like it, and they're pretending that they don't. And you're setting them up to commit crimes and ruin their lives and their victims at the same time. That's what you should tell Nick, and you should tell him that I actually looked at the study and this is what it actually means, and you're misrepresenting what it actually says. That's how you respond to Nick. Not like, oh, you really think women want this?
Want to be raped, do you?
That's what the
Is that what you really think that? Do you? Oh my God, I got you. I got you by playing this video of yours that you already publicly put out there, and I'm now showing it to other people as a got you.
But also, they have to pretend. But part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
You think women want to be raped, do you?
That's what the studies show, Piers. That is what these statistics
But that's what
say.
you believe,
They
is
have
it?
fantasies. They have fantasies about it. I don't think that they want to actually get.
Okay. Oh, Nick understands that. Then what the? Okay, if you understand that they don't want to actually get raped, then why did you say that on your show? Because what you said on your show was they wanted to actually be raped.
But
okay, so look at this. So Nick actually understands the study, and Piers doesn't even know what he's talking about. But if Piers understood what Nick is saying, then they're like, okay, then why is what you're saying here different from what you said in the clip that we showed? Look at this.
That's what the studies show, Piers. That is what these statistics say.
But that's what you believe,
They
is
have
it?
fantasies. They have fantasies about it. I don't think that they want to actually get raped. But there's a study out there. Get ready for this. It says 62% of women have rape fantasies. And if you read anything that they're reading, if you watched what they're watching,
yeah, rape fantasies is different from actually wanting to get raped. But what you said on your show is that they actually want to get raped. And I think Piers is not going to point out the difference between what you're saying here and what you said on your show, because Piers doesn't even understand what you're talking about.
What do you think 50 Shades of Grey is about? What do you think Twilight is about? I mean, that's just true.
You think women want to have the shit beaten out of them, as you said?
Look, Piers doesn't even understand what Nick is saying. That's why he's not really equipped into challenging him. He's just repeating the question. Fucking hell.
Yeah, and it's very disturbing, but it's true.
Do you think your views on women might change if you actually ever had a relationship with one or had sex and actually had a proper relationship?
Guys, this is why in BDSM you have like equipment that makes it seem like you're really hurting somebody without really hurting somebody. Okay, they designed them in a way, because you know why they make it like that? Because people want to pretend like they're getting hurt without actually getting hurt. They make them so that when you hit somebody, it makes a shit ton of noise. Okay, and then they pretend like they're being really hurt, but nobody's being really hurt. But why are they using tools like that? Why are they making tools the way so that it looks like somebody's getting really hurt without actually hurting somebody? Because they don't really want to get hurt. They just enjoy the fantasy, not the actual getting the shit beaten out of them.
Relationship. I mean, people say the reason you're so angry about women is you're basically an incel.
Well, I'm not angry about it.
You sound very angry. You sound very, very angry about women. They get
I'm passionate. It's an issue.
You're
I'm
not
passionate about.
You're sounding very bitter about women, as if women have done a terrible disservice to you. But when you don't have relationships, you don't have sex, when are they doing these terrible things to you that's made you so hateful towards women? I'm really curious.
Was that? I don't think that was a hateful clip. I think I was laughing. I said they want men to beat the shit out of them, and that's just true. I mean, when you look at the state,
no, it's not true. They fantasize about it. They don't want to actually get beaten to that point.
Of modern women,
guys, I mean, women are very like anything that might damage their skin. It's going to be very women get very upset about. Like a lot of women are very it's very important that they spend hours. Many of them spend hours every day to make sure that there's no marks on their skin and everything is pure and perfect and the same color. So I bet you if you punch them in the face and leave a big mark on their face, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be happy about that.
All they do is lay in their bed, doom scroll. They're chilling out. They're getting a little fat. It is what it is. I don't know what the average weight is, but they're getting a little heavy. And any guy that is playing the field these days will tell you that. I mean, and I know a lot of the Chads. I am an incel. I'm friends with a lot of Chads like Bradley Martin, Clavicular. They agree with me. There's sort of like this alliance between the guys that don't have sex and the guys that get the most sex. We know what women are about. It's the guys in the middle. Guys like you in the middle. It's the beta male orbiters that say, she's amazing. You're a misogynistic pig, because I don't know what that is. I guess.
Well, come on. Let me explain to you what I think it is. I think when a 27-year-old guy who's never got laid, never had a meaningful relationship with a
Oh my God! Again with this never got laid. Piers found something that he has a higher number of compared to Nick, because he was so desperate to have a win over Nick, and he couldn't find a single thing, because when it comes to views, when it comes to influence, when it comes to intelligence, when it comes to almost everything, when it comes to looks, when it comes to charisma, Nick has is winning over Piers in every single category. So he's just discovered that, oh my God, I have been with more women than Nick. So he's not going to let that go, right? He's just going to keep mentioning that. Like, oh, you haven't gotten laid, and I have.
A 27-year-old guy who's never got laid, never had a meaningful relationship with a woman, says that women shouldn't be allowed to vote. They should stay at home.
By the way, he's not an incel. Nick is not an incel because he's voluntary. Like he has a whole bunch of women that want to have sex with him. So it's by choice. Incel is like not by choice. Incel is the definition of somebody who is not having sex, not because they decided it, right? It's involuntary. So yeah, incel doesn't make, but again, this is a virtue for them. He's a Christian. He's a conservative Christian. So why are you using that against them?
Relationship with a woman, says that women shouldn't be allowed to vote. They should stay at home. That all they do is fantasize about being raped and being beaten up. That's what they want. That they're annoying. That they get fat. That they get ugly. That's a misogynist. Now, you may not understand it because your knowledge of women is so incredibly tiny. But actually, you are the embodiment of a misogynist. It couldn't be clearer. And if I was in a way,
like every time we call him a misogynist, racist, he's just going to own it, and he's going to disarm you by owning it. Like, you could call me racist, you could call me misogynist. Okay, sure, I'm a misogynist, and it's not gonna. It doesn't work. These words don't work anymore, Piers. These words against these people don't work anymore. You have made them useless. Like, you look at this, like and his followers love him. Like, oh wow, is he a misogynist? Okay, wow, thank you for telling us. And he's also like, okay, look, that's always going to be the response. You're going to call them a fascist. You're going to call them Nazis. You're going to call them racist. You're going to call them misogynist. You're going to call them anything. They're going to, okay, sure. And what your point? I'm a misogynist. So yeah, it's ridiculous that you keep trying to use this. By the way, we got a very interesting super chat saying Piers isn't dumb. He's intentionally ridiculing Nick for viral left-wing clips, avoiding real debate because he'd end up admitting some of Nick's wild points have substance. The left would disown him. Really? You think that he's actually that smart? I don't know. I think that's, you might be right. You might be right, but I think that's giving him too much credit. Like, I think you might be giving him too much credit, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible.
You have the deep-rooted misogyny of some of the actual boomers I know. Yet here you are, 27 years old. And most of the current studies show that a lot of men are really disenfranchised from society, no longer have physical relationships with women if they've ever had them, never associate with women, and build up instinctively misogynist views about women. And I fear you're in that position. You're just a bit of a lonely guy who wants to get laid and can't for whatever reason.
Why would he wants to get laid and can't? That's your entire point, Piers? You really think that's your winning point? First of all, he can get laid. He's one of the most famous people on earth. Do you know what fame does when it comes to your ability to get laid? It's actually, when you get this famous, it's actually difficult to not get laid. Okay. Okay. You have to actually really push back against people attempting to have sex with you. It becomes actually a full-time job trying to make sure you don't get laid if you're not trying to get laid. What the fuck are you talking about? Honestly, oh my God, Piers. What the fuck are you talking about?
His views about women. And I fear you're in that position. You're just a bit of a lonely guy who wants to get laid and can't for whatever reason. And it's made you bitter about women. And I don't know where that's come from, but it's fascinating.
No, see, here's the thing. First of all, you're very caught up in the labels. It's always, you're a racist, you're a misogynist.
You said you
these
were
words
a racist.
mean nothing to me. Oh, hang on. Whoa, can I respond?
You gave yourself the label.
What is this?
You said, I am a racist. I didn't give you the label. Okay. You said, Nick Fuentes, I am a racist.
Calm down. Calm down.
Did you or didn't you?
It's okay.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
here's
I didn't give you the label. You did.
Why are you yelling at me?
Because you're trying to infer something that didn't happen. You said, I gave you the label of being a racist. No, you did. You said, I'm a racist. Okay. You gave yourself the label.
You're going to have to tone it down a little, all right? You're going to have to bring it down a notch and relax. This is just an interview, okay? Please calm down. All I said is you're hung up. I didn't say you gave me that. Maybe I did.
You did.
But here's what I mean. What I mean is you're just hung up on proving you're a misogynist. Okay, you're a racist. Okay, you denied the Holocaust. And I'm not about the labels,
man. You didn't deny the Holocaust.
Past that.
As I said to you, look, Nick, I just wanted to go over the stuff that everyone uses out there about you and get you to respond. And we are getting, I think, a long way in this interview. Right?
Okay.
You didn't deny the Holocaust. You accepted there's been a Holocaust of at least 6 million Jews.
I'm a maximalist. I'm a Holocaust.
That is significant.
I think it's more.
You did admit you're a racist, and you have.
Look, he's just disarming everything that they have against him. Oh, I'm a racist. Okay, I'm a racist. Misogynist from a misogynist. The Holocaust actually wasn't 6 million. It was 8 million. Okay, what else? What else is?
I've spelled out a thought process.
Like he's basically giving up everything that you want to attack him on. He will just own it or disarm you to just focus on one point, which is the most dangerous point. The Jews are the enemy of America, of the West. He's disarming everything that you have against them. Oh, we actually love the Jews. We're against genocide. Even one person dying is a tragedy. Okay, so everything could be disarmed so that the entire focus just is laser focused on we don't even hate the Jews, but they are the enemy and they're destroying Western civilization. Everything is laser focused on that one point.
It's about women, which is the purest definition of misogyny that I've ever seen. And you've said you're not gay. So we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. Well, look, and I own the labels.
And Piers is helping him. And Piers is helping them because Piers is not pushing it back against him in the place that it matters the most. You're going to lose in every single one of these areas. And Piers are like, we're getting somewhere. Yeah, Piers, you are getting somewhere. You're making him look reasonable. Good job.
It's okay, but I just don't care that much about that.
That's fine.
I feel like the whole.
I'm not saying
this is like a weird.
I'm not saying you have to care, Nick. You don't have to care about any of it. I promise you. Right? That's not why I got you on the show. I wanted to give you a fair crack, which I think I have. We've gone over a lot of stuff. We've got a bit more to go on. I genuinely don't think I've ambushed you with anything you couldn't have been expecting.
No.
I don't think I've been overtly hostile. In fact, when you've asked me to calm down, I've calmed down. I don't want to have a hostile, angry.
Great job admitting that Nick is controlling this entire conversation.
Shouty match with you. I simply want you to spell out exactly what you've meant about all these things, and people can then be the judge of them. So let's take another break, and we'll come back and talk about Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and others.
And well, actually, do you guys want to do the third part in another show? I think I would just wanted to focus on the Jew and the woman part. And let's just go have the rest of this conversation in our group. By the way, guys, don't forget to like the stream. So we're going to go in our group. Guys, let me actually put the link to our group and have conversations about this and everything else in our group. It's a free group. If you guys want to join us there, we have live group calls over there every single day. So yeah, the link is in the chat. We're going to go do that over there and hang around. Our group, by the way, guys, reached 1,000. Like, we just started the group and it's already 1,000 members. So, and it's free. So join. Link in the description, link in the chat. So yeah, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell notification. And I'll see you guys same time tomorrow. I'm Israel Chai. Javid Shah. Mwah. See you guys tomorrow.